I've just brought the kids down here to Lake Callemondah, well, the salt side anyway. We're going to try and catch some bait, have a bit of a fleek. Actually, I better catch up to them. I'll see you down there. Now we ended up getting a few potties in the cast net and a handful of prawns, so we decided to walk around to the opposite bank to set up in the shade. Picked up this little grunter here. We'll get this guy back in the water and we'll see if we can pick up something maybe a little bit bigger. Alright, what I'm going to swap over to is using this. This is just a primal, probably like 1 inch, 2 inch deep diver. I've changed the hooks over to some better hooks because the ones they come with aren't very good and they rust off pretty quick. And I'm also going to have a flick with this. It's just a curly tail, you know, normal sort of jig head. Nice little brim to go along with that grunter. Still nothing of real size yet. Let's get him back in the water. Up he goes. Alright, there's another little grunter. You can actually hear him grunting. Of course he'd stop now. Anyway, we'll get this guy back in the water, but I'd say if you can get some live prawns, you're key into getting some grunter and some brim. There's definitely some decent sized ones around here, but we haven't got them yet. Let's get him back. So in typical fashion, I walk up the bank, flicking a lure a little bit, and I get a great hit up, but not on camera, as usual. Alright guys, look at this cracker of a fish caught here at Lake Callemondah. Beautiful mangrove jack. This bad boy's just gone just over 40. Unfortunately, I'm in the Tackle World Jack competition here, but I forgot my token. It's in the car and it's way too far to go and get it. I'm down here with the kids, so I'm gonna let this guy go anyway. I'll let him swim free another day and maybe I'll catch him back down here again when I've got the bloody token. All right, let's get this guy back in the water. Yeah, this fish was absolutely exhausted after a fight on the 10-pound gear and a quick measure on the brag mat. With a little bit of work, we did get him to swim off, so hopefully I'll be down here to catch him again. Yeah, that was an absolute cracker of a fish, but as I'm sure you can hear in the background, the kids are getting a little bit stir crazy, so we're going to call it a day. The kids insist they want to come back tomorrow morning, so hey, how am I to refuse? We'll be back out here in the morning. I'll see you then. So I've made the trip in again this morning with the kids to the upper reaches of the new Auckland Inlet, right next to Lake Callemondah. We got here a little bit early today, only half an hour, but that does put us an hour and a half earlier on the tides. The plan was to walk across that rock bar to the other side to avoid the big trek all the way around. Unfortunately though, this morning the bait was a little bit more scarce, and by the time I'd caught enough bait for a little session, the water had started rushing back in and we had no choice but to go the long way around to be on the safe side. Here again this morning, the upper reaches of the new Auckland Inlet, where Lake Callemondah runs down into the salt. I'm up here again with the kids this morning, giving them up a bit of a break, and they're down here giving me a hand. They're just quiet at the moment because they're all having something to eat. But I've got the token today, so hopefully we can pick up that jack again, or one of his brothers and sisters. Didn't manage to get a lot of bait. We were down here early chasing potties. Managed to get maybe a dozen prawns and only 2 or 3 potties. Let's get into it.
We've just got a line in the water, and I only managed to get a couple of liveys, like I said. Unfortunately, one of them's been stolen by this little bugger. But that's just the way it goes. Sometimes you don't catch the fish you want, you catch little pests like this. We'll get this guy back in the water, and we'll use, I think I've only got another 1 or 2 liveys. We'll chuck one of them back on.
The kids all had a great time having turns at winding fish in, but what they really seemed to enjoy was letting them go. And using a set of lip grips, it's pretty fun and easy for them to do.
I just thought I'd give you a quick look at the net bucket I use. So it's just a 20 litre white bucket that I've bought from, who knows, Kmart, Bunnings, somewhere. Everywhere sells them. And what I've actually done, it's got an El Cheapo chopping board, and just cut it down and silicate it on the top here. And the latest thing I've done to it, after seeing Aaron's bait bucket, is I've drilled holes in the top, along here, and around the side there. As you can see, the water running out. What that allows you to do is after you take your net out, you've caught your bait, throw them in here. Like most people do, you just throw them in your net bucket. And I've got a couple of foot of rope on the end of it here, just tied to the handle. Carabiner on, you know I love these things. Clip it onto a mangrove or a tree or whatever you want, and throw the whole thing in the water with the lid clipped on tight. That'll keep your mullet and your prawns alive. I'll tell you what, it's been doing a good job for me. Alright, hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Now the same as yesterday, we've got no shortage of little fish being run through a brim. Nothing legal, but it could all change in a second, just like yesterday getting that big jack. So we'll persist and keep going. They're getting a little bit bigger as we go, but still not quite what we're after. As the tide comes up, there seems to be plenty of brim moving through with it and some little grunter. Still waiting for that big hit up though. Let's get him back in the water.
As the morning passed us by, there was certainly no shortage of fish getting caught. Unfortunately, we'd pretty much used up all the bait we'd caught this morning, and I ended up switching back to lures to have a little bit more of a fish. Now, aside from a couple of legal brim we caught and a cod that just wasn't quite there were no keepers today. Over the last 2 mornings of being down here with the kids, I'd say we've caught between 20 and 25 fish, with that big jack being the highlight. I'm going to pack up and head home because it's a bit of a walk back around to the car. Unfortunately, we didn't get that big jack again, but that doesn't mean I won't be back down here before the end of the month chasing him. We'll see how we go. Now, I've had a great time down here the last couple of mornings with the kids. Having a bit of a fish and an explore with them has been awesome. And I think it's just the perfect spot to bring the family down. There's these designated walking tracks, lots for them to see and do, and I know they've had an absolute blast. I can't wait to bring them down again. Although in saying that, I think I'm going to sneak down in the next couple of days for a bit of solo action and a little bit more lure work than I was able to do with the kids. Righto guys, I'm down here this morning to flick a few lures around and I'll see if I can catch some bait as well. I'm down here by myself today, so hopefully I get a little bit more fishing in than what I have been. I'll see how we go. Alright, so I've just made it back here to the far bank where Mr. Jack was living a couple of days ago. Just dropped my gear down. I'm going to go for a walk along and see if there's anywhere a little bit better to set up. I was set up in that spot over there in particular because I had the kids and there was rocks and shade and everything for them to sit on. So we'll just have a look along this bank and see if there's anywhere a little bit better. It doesn't look too bad down there. Although I would like a little bit of shade still. And I believe now I'm in line with the rock wall, so that's not going to be much good. We want to be on the top side of that. Oh, well, I'm just going to set back up where we were the other day. It was producing some fish. Only one of any decent size, but we'll give it another go, and if that's no good, we might move down to the bottom side of the wall, see if that's any better. Alright. So today I'm focusing mainly on lures. I'm using that hard body and that soft plastic again. Also picked up the soft plastic on the way in. I'm pretty keen to give that a go. It was just lying just in the grass, so we'll see if that goes any good. I've also chucked in a couple of prawns I caught in the net this morning, but I seem to be getting very similar results as the last few days. Just little fish, brim, cod, you know, the usual suspects. Felt like I had a few hits on it yesterday, but nothing this morning. I'm going to change it over to this soft plastic that we found on the walk in. Maybe it's a sign, maybe it's not. But I'll get it tied on and we'll give it a go. So I've got this guy tied on. We'll give him a bit of a flick. It's a bit lighter than I use and his tail's gone a little bit hard, so I don't know how good he'll be, but I'll give him a go. Yeah, so I've noticed he's not swimming real well. I think he's just spent a little bit too much time in the sun. The juke head's perfectly fine, but I think the soft plastic needs replacing. I've got some there. I might chuck a new one on and see how it goes. What are these bloody things? They get on your nerves sometimes. We're not doing real great here this morning, and I think it's got a lot to do with the tides. See, we're on the neap tides at the moment, which means we don't get as much water flow coming through as we'd like. When I was here a few days ago, you'll remember the water was right up to the rocks at the top of the tide. It's only the top of the tide now, and we're a good metre below that. So I've gone up. There's another spot a little bit further up. I'm going to pack up all my gear and head up there. See if we do a little bit better. A little bit of a different environment instead of a deep hole like we've got here. It's the mouth of a little creek. It's actually the start of the mangrove boardwalk, so we'll check that out while we're up there. I'm going to pack this gear up and I'll meet you guys up there. So I've just dropped the rods down. One of them had a livey on it that I wanted to keep alive, so I've chucked him down there with the rod holder. Just come back for the backpack and the rest of the gear. Be nice to get down there and there's a big fish on there, but we'll wait and see. This is a good spot. I've had a fish here before and it's great if you've got your net. There's always plenty of bait to catch while you're down here. I didn't bring the net because it's such a long walk around at the moment with the boardwalk being shut. Righto, so this is my new little camp here. Give you a look around, put some rods in. Just here on it's a little creek and then some flats on the other side the water's come over. But we're right near the mangrove boardwalk, so I'll take you up to have a look at that. As you've seen on the video where I drove in today, they're doing heaps of road work, so they've actually shut the car park to the mangrove boardwalk, which means you've got to walk all the way around if you want to fish here.
So it goes on for a bit of distance. That's this is the main bit you want to look at. There's a school of mullet down there. There's a lot of mangrove roots in the bottom though, so if you're about throwing a net, and if you manage to get a jack or a barra, how are you going to land it? I wouldn't be getting in there. Yeah, so at the other end of this there's a car park, and normally you can park there and just walk down to this side, but yeah, like I said, with the road work you can't get in there, which probably makes the fishing a little bit better, a little bit harder to get to. Man, there's a lot of mullet down there. Probably can't see him, but that's a pretty big school. Alright, better get back and make sure those rods haven't got... There's been some action just happening up this little creek. Go over and see if you can see it. So essentially just up in there's been some bait getting hit. Bit of a hard spot to get a cast in, but I'm just going to leave some baits out near the entrance here. We'll have a flick with the lure and see if anything comes out. Just sitting here under the shade of this tree having a bit of a kip, as you do when the fish aren't biting. And you know what, I found another jig head. This isn't the type I use, so I've chucked it up in the tree here. If anyone's down here, it's yours. If it's not yours, you know, it's there anyway. That's about it from me here today, down here at Lake Callemondah, or the top of New Auckland Inlet, whatever you want to call it. Fishing's been a little bit slower, and I think, like I said before, it's because of the tides. They've dropped down to those neap tides. There's not a lot of run, only maybe a metre, a bit over a metre of water movement from low to high, which is definitely going to slow the fishing down. It slows the bait down and it slows the big fish down that are chasing them. I'd say this is a spot, really good fishing on the big tides. Just like a lot of places, you need that water movement to get the fish moving. That one keeper jack, there was probably a couple of keeper bream in the mix as well, but I don't really eat bream normally, I just let them go. Just a good bit of fun. I'm not saying I won't be back down here before the end of the month to try and pick that jack up again. I'd love to catch him on a lure and have my little code there so I can enter him in the fishing comp, but he is down here and I'm sure there's more of them as well, but that's fishing for you. Hope you guys learned a thing or two and enjoyed yourselves. I certainly had a good time down here today by myself and the last couple of days with the kids. It's a good family friendly spot. There's some great spots to fish down here. Plenty of bait usually getting around too. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, share and subscribe to the channel. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram as well under the same name. And I might see you out there somewhere. Alright guys, I'll see you later.